Imagine a master healer, right? Like someone with a 90% success rate in curing terminal, medically hopeless diseases.
Yeah, the exact cases where traditional hospitals have just completely given up.
Exactly. People are suddenly walking out of their rooms. But here is the really wild part. Imagine that the cost of pulling those specific individuals back from the absolute brink of death was this healer's own eyesight.
It is such a heavy, almost unbelievable concept to wrap your head around.
It really is.
Mm.
You are listening to a deep dive into the life of Osman, who is globally known as the blind Muslim yogi. And today, well, we're exploring one of the most incredible paradoxes we have ever encountered on this show.
It's a phenomenal story, and not just because of the, dramatic personal sacrifices. It's really about the intensely rigorous biological framework he built along the way.
Right, because we are looking at 50 years of advanced personal practice here and 46 years of teaching.
Yeah, we've gone through his detailed firsthand accounts and combed through his vast library of over 450 YouTube videos, and we've really analyzed the structural mechanics of his entire system.
And the mission today for our deep dive is to extract the core of that system.
Mhm.
Osman has basically created this completely non-sectarian, highly practical blueprint for physical and spiritual progress.
Which is so rare in this space, honestly.
It is. And if you are listening to this right now, maybe you're on your commute or washing the dishes or just feeling the crushing weight of modern stress, you might be thinking, I don't have the time or the desire to shave my head, move to a Himalayan cave, and chant for 15 years.
Right. Nobody has time for that in the modern world.
Exactly.
Mm.
And that is precisely why Osman's work matters to you. He has spent nearly 4 decades trying to simplify incredibly complex ancient protocols so that a normal, busy person can actually use them.
And what's fascinating here is how he treats spirituality and energetic advancement. It's not this mystical, murky religion to him. He approaches it as a strict scientific methodology. A scientific approach, right? Not just blind faith.
Exactly.
Huh?
He approaches it the way you would approach a highly specialized gym routine. He operates on the premise that if you apply a specific mechanical pressure to the human nervous system, well, you are going to get a specific, predictable biological result.
So it really doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are or your background.
Not at all. It doesn't matter what your social background is. The biology simply responds to the input.
I really love that framing. But before we get into the exact mechanics of this gym routine of his, we need to understand the architect.
Yeah, who is Osman, right?
Exactly. Because to trust a system, you usually want to know the credentials of the person who built it.
Yeah.
And his educational background is wildly eclectic.
It really is. I mean, he didn't just isolate himself within a single rigid lineage and ignore the rest of the world.
Right, which is what you see a lot of the time. Yeah, exactly. Over his 50 years of practice, he deliberately sought out masters from the Far East, the Middle East, the West, and most importantly, he integrated insights from modern scientific communities.
So he cross-referenced ancient texts with modern anatomy.
He did, and that global cross-disciplinary education is really what allows him to have students in over 100 countries today.
Wow, over 100 countries. But the thing that really stands out to me is his dual identity. It is just fascinating.
Yeah, it's a very unique setup.
On one side, he is an advanced yoga and meditation teacher,
Mhm.
and he gives all of that foundational knowledge, like the daily maintenance, the nervous system, upgrades completely away for free.
Right, through his YouTube channel and his website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, he is a master-level bioenergy healer, specializing in life or death, critical care, and terminal illnesses.
Yeah.
And that is his paid trade, which commands a very premium fee.
And that dual structure is highly intentional. He has essentially open sourced the preventative medicine and the spiritual development, but he gatekeeps the high-risk terminal interventions.
Which makes sense when you think about the history of this stuff. I mean, historically, advanced yogic practices, things like unblocking chakras or safely awakening dormant kundalini energy, they were aggressively hidden.
Oh, absolutely. They were locked behind secret paramparas, which are these unbroken lineages of gurus and disciples.
Right. The traditional barrier to entry was just massive.
Yeah.
You had to prove yourself worthy.
Yeah. You had to take vows of silence, swear off all worldly possessions, become a strict vegetarian.
And essentially surrender your total autonomy to a guru who demanded absolute devotion before they would even teach you a basic breathing technique.
Exactly. But by treating the human energy system as a biological machine that responds to specific physical inputs, Osman completely removes that barrier.
So he's not demanding you change your whole life just to start.
Right. He doesn't demand his students change their diets, take restrictive vows, or worship him. He emphatically tells people, I am not your guru.
I love that. I am not your guru.
Yeah, he hands you the manual to your own biology and tells you to do the work yourself.
So the implication here is that he is completely blowing up the traditional guru model.
He really is.
It takes an incredible amount of confidence for someone with a half-century of master-level experience to step up to a microphone and say, don't follow me. Just read the warning labels on these exercises, understand the mechanics of your own body, and take responsibility for your own nervous system.
It shifts the entire dynamic from subjugation to education. He is empowering the listener to become their own primary scientist, treating their own body and mind as the laboratory.
But he is also incredibly strict about the order of operations, isn't he?
Very strict. You cannot just jump straight into the deep end of high-voltage cosmic energy.
Like trying to run massive amounts of electricity through a frayed wire.
Exactly. If you do that, it catches fire. You have to build the biological infrastructure first.
Which means we need to look at pillar one in his system, the physical body.
Right?
And Osman's foundation here is Hatha Yoga, specifically targeted at a very crucial piece of our anatomy called the vagus nerve. And his timeline for this is wild.
Yeah, his starting age is pretty unbelievable.
He started officially practicing Hatha Yoga at the age of 10. Like, most 10-year-olds are worried about cartoons and recess, and he is out there initiating a lifelong biomechanical practice.
And his reasoning at that age was remarkably pragmatic. He had read that as humans age, the physical body naturally becomes rigid.
Right, the spine hunches, the joints calcify, mobility disappears.
Exactly. And he simply decided he didn't want to end up using a walking stick. So he utilized Hatha Yoga as a mechanical preventative measure against the physical degradation of aging.
And the proof of concept is really hard to argue with. I mean, he is 57 years old now after nearly 5 decades of practice, and he reports having zero arthritis, stellar blood pressure, and perfect joint health.
It's a pretty strong endorsement for his methods.
It really is.
Yeah.
But if you walk into a modern yoga studio today, it can be this dizzying, intimidating array of acrobatics. There are thousands of poses. How does a normal person navigate that?
Well, the beauty of his system is that they don't have to, because Osman did the heavy lifting for them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, over the decades, he subjected those thousands of possible yoga postures to intense internal trial and error. He ruthlessly filtered them down to just 7 or 8 essential postures.
Just 7 or 8 out of thousands.
Exactly. He identified the vital few movements that deliver the absolute maximum benefit to the human organism.
I want to focus on the why here. Why those specific 7 or 8? Because he is very clear that he didn't pick them just because they stretch the hamstrings.
Right. He chose them because they directly manipulate the vagus nerve.
Okay, let's unpack this for the listener. To understand why that matters, we have to look at the anatomy.
Yes, the vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in the body. The word vagus literally translates to wanderer in Latin.
Because it wanders all over the place.
Exactly. It emerges from the brainstem and wanders all the way down through the neck, the chest, and deep into the abdomen. It forms a direct physical superhighway between your brain and your major internal organs.
So we're talking about the heart, the lungs, the digestive tract, your liver, the pancreas.
Yes, all of those.
So it's essentially the master controller of our internal state.
Precisely. It commands the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest state.
Right, the opposite of fight or flight.
Exactly. It governs involuntary actions like lowering your heart rate, managing digestion, and controlling inflammation. And Osman's premise is that Hatha Yoga, out of all forms of exercise, is uniquely capable of physically compressing, massaging, and stimulating these specific internal organs and their corresponding vagal pathways.
Yeah. And there's a specific story in his source material that perfectly illustrates how profound this internal vagal awareness actually becomes. The liver pain anecdote.
Oh, yeah. That is a great example.
So Osman is 55 years old.
Yeah.
He's performing one of his core essential postures.
Mm-hmm.
It's a specific variation of a shoulder stand where you bend one knee downward.
Right.
And the biomechanical purpose of this pose is to apply direct physical pressure to the liver and the pancreas.
And keep in mind, he has been performing this exact movement for 45 years at this point. His internal baseline, like his physiological dashboard, is perfectly calibrated.
Yeah, he knows exactly what a healthy liver feels like under that specific compression.
Right.
So he goes into the posture, and for the first time in his entire life, he feels a sharp, localized pain in his liver. Now, if I feel a twinge in my side, I just assume I slept wrong or pulled a muscle.
Yeah, most people would ignore it.
But because Osman's vagal awareness is so highly developed, he instantly recognized that his liver was inflamed. He didn't panic, he just analyzed his inputs.
He traced it back to a dietary change, didn't he?
Yes. He traced the inflammation back to a specific new food he had recently introduced into his diet. He realized the food was toxic to his specific biology, removed it immediately, and the pain vanished completely.
That anecdote is vital because it reveals the true mechanism of his physical system. Physical flexibility, like being able to touch your toes or put your leg behind your head, is actually just a byproduct in Osman's blueprint.
It's just a side effect.
Exactly. The primary objective of these 7 or 8 specific postures is the fortification of the internal organs and the toning of the vagal network.
It's kind of like paving a road. Think of your nervous system like a network of unpaved gravel dirt roads.
Okay, I like this analogy.
If you suddenly try to drive a massive fleet of 18-wheelers, which represents advanced cosmic energy or deep states of consciousness, down a dirt road, you're going to tear up the foundation, destroy the path, and cause a massive wreck.
That is a perfect analogy.
The Hatha yoga protocols are the process of paving that dirt road with reinforced concrete so it can actually handle the heavy freight.
Yeah, if your liver is toxic or your parasympathetic nervous system is constantly overwhelmed by modern stress, your biological infrastructure will just collapse under the pressure of advanced energetic states. You are building a nervous system capable of safely conducting high voltage.
And he gives this specific condensed concrete paving protocol away in a free 5-minute program on his website, yogawellness786.com.
Which is incredibly generous.
It really is. But getting the physical body ready, laying that concrete, is only pillar 1. The real heavy freight comes in pillars 2, 3, and 4, meditation, breathwork, and Kriya.
And this is where the timeline of his research and development becomes almost unfathomable. We are talking about an incredibly long, frustrating road to achieve what he calls simplified mysticism.
Yeah, the timeline for the meditation component alone is staggering. Today, we are sold mindfulness as a quick fix.
Yeah, download an app, listen to it chime, and you're meditating.
Exactly. But for Osman, it took 22 years of grueling struggle. From the age of 10 to 32, he was constantly testing different methods, discarding what didn't work, trying to crack the code on a meditation technique that reliably, mechanically relieves stress without requiring perfect conditions.
He was engineering a method for the modern human. He wanted something that worked even if you were just sitting on a normal, comfortable couch, rather than forcing yourself into an agonizing full lotus position on a hardwood floor.
Which makes so much sense, because if you're in pain, you can't relax.
Right. He realized that if the physical body is in pain from a forced posture, the nervous system simply cannot drop into the deep parasympathetic state required for true meditation.
And if 22 years sounds like a long time, his journey with breathwork or pranayama took even longer. It took him 39 years to perfect a specific 4-step breathwork protocol.
39 years on one protocol.
Yeah, a protocol designed to safely and systematically unblock the energetic centers in the body, the chakras.
And to understand why it took 39 years, we really have to look at the physiological mechanics of breath. When you manipulate your breathing patterns, you are directly altering the ratio of oxygen to carbon dioxide in your bloodstream.
You're shifting your blood pH.
Exactly. You are changing your heart rate variability. If you do this incorrectly, you can induce severe anxiety, dizziness, or even damage the delicate energetic channels.
So he couldn't afford to be wrong.
Right. Osman was looking for a sequence that was mechanically bulletproof, a protocol that produced a measurable, safe, energetic shift every single time without the need for a guru sitting in the room to monitor you.
39 years of trial, error, and biological consequence just to find the right sequence of inhales, holds, and exhales. It really highlights the sheer, stubborn dedication behind the techniques he now gives away.
He suffered the missteps so the listener doesn't have to.
Exactly. And those precise mechanics lead directly to the final and honestly most dangerous pillar, Kriya, and the awakening of Kundalini energy.
Right. Kundalini is often described as a dormant, profound bioenergy resting at the base of the spine.
And the sources note he attained his first samadhi experience, which is tied to this awakening, safely when he was 19.
Yes, but triggering the awakening and actually controlling the voltage are two entirely different skill sets. It took him another 30 years to learn how to consciously direct that energy with his mind.
30 years just to learn to steer it. And he puts a massive, glaring warning label on this process. He teaches a Kriya method, which is the technique for moving this energy. But he emphasizes that it must be done in tiny, incremental steps.
Up the spine, down the spine, slowly.
Yes, very slowly. He states explicitly that if a person were to try and absorb the full surge of this cosmic energy all at once, it would, in his words, blow you to smithereens.
Wow.
Yeah, the central nervous system would experience a catastrophic overload.
You really cannot bypass the biology, but when a student actually follows his highly refined incremental mechanics, the results completely shatter traditional spiritual dogma.
Oh man, this brings us to the breathless state anecdote, which absolutely blew my mind.
It is a remarkable case study.
So Osman had a student who achieved the breathless state within 12 months of following his protocols. For context for you listening, the breathless state is an incredibly elusive, highly advanced meditative milestone. It's a state where a person's respiration seemingly stops entirely.
Yes, they aren't gasping for air. They are perfectly conscious, peaceful, and physiologically stable. But the chest stops moving.
The mechanism behind this is fascinating. What's actually happening in the body there?
Well, in these hyper-deep states of meditation, the body's metabolic rate drops so significantly, and the internal energetic efficiency becomes so high that the cellular demand for oxygen plummets to near zero.
That is wild.
It is. The ambient internal energy sustains the biological functions. People will isolate themselves in monasteries for 50 years hoping to achieve this state, and many never do, and this student did it in a year.
But the detail that completely destroys centuries of gatekeeping is the student who achieved this profound mystical state. Well, she still ate meat. She still went to normal social events. She drank alcohol in moderation.
This is the crux of Osman's entire thesis, dogma versus mechanics.
Yes, let's talk about that.
For centuries, the prevailing narrative has been that you must achieve absolute dietary and moral purity before your body is worthy or pure enough to experience these advanced states.
Strict vegetarianism, total social isolation, absolute abstinence.
Exactly. It was always framed as a moral test administered by the universe.
Right. The idea was if you eat a piece of chicken, the cosmos will deny you enlightenment. But this student's rapid success proves that achieving these states is a mechanical scientific process of the human nervous system.
It is not a moral purity test.
No. If you apply the exact right mechanical pressure, the precise breath work, the correct vagal stimulation, the biological locks will open, regardless of what you had for dinner.
It is an incredibly liberating paradigm for the modern listener. It means the everyday person is not locked out of profound spiritual and physiological upgrades just because they live a normal 21st century life.
Right. You don't have to quit your job and move to the woods.
Exactly. Furthermore, Osman notes that you don't have to use sheer, miserable willpower to force yourself to quit bad habits before you start.
Oh, that's a huge point.
He argues that as you apply the mechanics and the internal energy centers unblock, destructive addictions naturally fall away on their own. The internal energetic baseline changes, so the external cravings dissolve. You develop control from the inside out.
He literally compressed decades of agonizing spiritual evolution into a few months of targeted gym work for the nervous system. He estimates his breathwork methods can unblock chakras in 10 to 100 days, compared to the 10 to 15 years it might take someone trying to figure it out alone.
The efficiency is staggering.
It really is. But we have to draw a line here. There is a very distinct boundary in Osman's life where his free, teachable biological science ends and his highly dangerous premium-priced profession begins.
And that boundary takes us into the realm of the master healer. This is where the narrative shifts from physical vitality and meditation into the profound, often tragic realities of life, death, and energetic consequence.
Wait, hold on. I need to pause this right here because I know what the skeptical listener is thinking. We just spent 20 minutes talking about the very grounded, tangible biology of the vagus nerve, metabolic oxygen drops, and biomechanics.
Right.
Now, the source material states that Osman is a bioenergy healer who utilizes telepathic capabilities and the principles of quantum entanglement to treat terminal illnesses. For a listener who is
Right. Regarding quantum entanglement, which in physics is the phenomenon where particles remain connected and interact instantaneously across vast distances, Osman theorizes that consciousness and the human biofield can operate on those same quantum principles.
So he's not waving a magic wand.
No, he is essentially using his highly charged nervous system as a transmitter to interface with the depleted biofield of a terminal patient.
Okay, so he is framing it as an undiscovered physics of the human body. And the sources make sure to clarify he offers his services on a complimentary basis. It's not meant as a total replacement to the medical field, but something to enhance whatever is lacking when traditional medicine hits a wall.
Exactly. He applies this specific skill to patients where traditional medical doctors have literally said there is nothing more we can do, get your affairs in order.
And he charges a very high premium for this intervention.
He is entirely unapologetic about the fee. And when we look at the mathematics of healing he presents, the economics of his practice completely reframe the discussion.
Let's break down that math, because it's vital. Osman notes that there are roughly 18,000 known human ailments.
18,000, wow.
Yeah, and modern medical science, with all of its incredible technology and pharmacology, can cure about 4,000 of them. That leaves a massive gap of 14,000 ailments that traditional medicine currently cannot resolve.
Osman steps into that specific gap, particularly the terminal cases, and his bioenergy healing protocols have a 90% success rate in that space.
A 90% success rate for terminal cases. That's astounding.
It is. But he does not claim omnipotence. He doesn't claim 100%. Mathematically, out of those 18,000 ailments, there are about 1,800 ailments that even he, as a master-level healer, cannot cure.
The intellectual honesty there is so refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
He isn't setting himself up as an infallible god. He acknowledges the strict mathematical limitations of both modern medical science and his own energetic science.
He views them as complementary. If a surgeon can fix your heart, go to the surgeon. If medicine fails, his energetic intervention might be the alternative.
But the absolute most staggering, heartbreaking reality of those 1,800 ailments he cannot cure, well, is that one of them is his own blindness.
Yes.
The master healer, who pulls people back from terminal disease, cannot heal his own eyes.
Which brings us to the profound biological toll of his trade and the specific story of how he lost his sight. Because it was not a degenerative genetic disease, it was not a random accident, it was the direct physical consequence of energetic conservation and sacrifice.
The details of this are incredibly heavy. Let's look at how he lost his left eye first. He was treating a client who was suffering from a severe critical viral infection. The client was failing.
They were terminal.
Right. So Osman engaged his protocols, interfaced with the client's biofield, and successfully healed them. The client survived. But in the process of pulling that sickness out, Osman energetically absorbed the virus.
His own immune system took the hit.
Exactly. He contracted a severe, localized infection in his own left eye from that exchange. And despite his abilities, he could not clear it. The client lived, and Osman paid for that life with his left eye.
In physics, the law of conservation of energy states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred. In Osman's framework, the life force required to literally drag a failing human biology back from the brink of death has an equal and opposite reaction.
You are interfacing with terminal pathology.
Yes, and the energetic blowback on the healer's own nervous and immune system is catastrophic.
And it gets worse. About a year and a half after losing his left eye, he deliberately violated his own safety protocols. Normally, because the systemic drain is so dangerous, you are only supposed to take on one critical care recovery at a time.
Right. Your biology needs time to recover from the radiation of the illness, so to speak.
But Osman took on 3 critical care recoveries simultaneously.
He acknowledges himself that attempting to supply life force to 3 failing bodies with only one healthy body is practically a guarantee of your own systemic collapse.
He actually managed to save 2 of those 3 lives. It was the only critical care recovery where he actually lost a patient during that trial. But the physical, biological backlash on his own body was devastating.
He was completely bedridden.
He was severely ill for 2 weeks, fighting the systemic overload. And the ultimate permanent cost of saving those 2 lives was the complete loss of his remaining right eye. He became entirely blind.
This completely upends the pervasive cultural narrative of the untouchable, invulnerable, spiritual master. He is operating within a closed system governed by strict laws of energy transfer.
So when people ask, why can't the healer heal himself?
The answer is because his own biological batteries, his own systemic reserves, have been fundamentally depleted or permanently damaged by acting as the filter for someone else's terminal illness.
I really want you listening to process the weight of this. In modern culture, we talk endlessly about burnout. We talk about giving too much to our corporate jobs, but literally trading your eyesight, permanently sacrificing your own sensory experience of the physical world to save the lives of strangers. That fundamentally recontextualizes his premium consultation fees.
Absolutely. People often balk at a high price tag for energy healing because they assume it's just someone waving their hands in the air and burning
Right,
incense.
they think it's a scam.
But Osman is literally pricing the risk of his own demise. Every single time he accepts a terminal case, he is stepping into a biologically radioactive room without a hazmat suit.
He is risking what happened to his optic nerves happening to his heart or his liver.
It shifts the fee from a simple transaction of service to a literal transaction of life force.
And, we should mention, he's currently practicing a minimum of 8 to 10 hours a day just to keep his skills sharp. At one point in his life, he was doing 18 hours a day. It requires immense, constant upkeep. And yet, despite paying the ultimate physical price, there is no bitterness in his accounts. He continues to practice.
He continues to refine his craft, aiming for grandmaster levels of proficiency.
He even remains logically hopeful that through continued research, he might eventually discover the specific energetic protocols to reverse neurological blindness, both for his future patients and for himself.
That resilience seamlessly transitions us into the economic model he has built around his life's work. When you contrast his premium high-risk healing business with his philanthropic teaching platform, you see an economic structure that completely inverts the typical spiritual industry.
Let's explore that inversion, because anyone who has dabbled in wellness or spirituality knows exactly what the standard guru grift looks like.
Right. In the predatory model, a teacher will offer you a very small taste of peace or a minor physical healing for free or very cheap. It's a loss leader.
Hook.
Exactly. But the catch is, to maintain that feeling or to learn the advanced techniques, you are required to subscribe to them for life. You have to pay thousands of dollars for exclusive weekend retreats. You have to buy secret mantras. You have to continually pay tribute to the organization.
The initial healing is the bait, and the lifetime dependency is the hook.
Osman flips that model entirely upside down. He gives away the entire lifetime spiritual framework completely for free.
The Hatha Yoga, the meditation mechanics, the 39-year breathwork protocols, the Kriya techniques.
All of it. The exact blueprints for attaining high-level consciousness and nervous system fortification are all available at zero cost.
He does not hide the mechanics behind a paywall.
No, he empowers you to fix yourself. He has Patreon for paid live daily videos or one-to-one consultations, but he doesn't withhold any information from his free YouTube channel. The only thing exclusively available at a premium price is the energy healing service.
Which, again, is when you are in a life or death critical emergency that requires him to personally step in and risk his own biological integrity to save yours.
It's the equivalent of a world-class doctor giving away the absolute perfect secrets to diet, exercise, and immune health to the entire world for free, and only ever charging a fee if you ignore the advice and end up needing an emergency, high-risk open-heart surgery.
It is arguably the most ethical way you could possibly structure a business that deals with human health and mysticism.
And the way he manages to fund this massive output of free educational content is a testament to the belief others have in his mission. He survives and produces all of this material largely due to the sponsorship and financial support of his best friend, who assists with his living expenses so Osman can focus entirely on disseminating this knowledge.
Honestly, a massive thank you to that friend. Because without that back-end support, the public would not have access to 50 years of meticulously refined spiritual technology.
If we extrapolate the broader cultural impact of what Osman is trying to achieve, it's incredibly ambitious. He is attempting a massive paradigm shift in how modern society views well-being.
He is taking an ancient, historically gate-kept science, one that used to demand your entire life and identity, and packaging it into a results-based daily routine.
He is literally adapting ancient mysticism for the 21st century nervous system. He knows we have mortgages, jobs, and families. We can't retreat to an ashram.
By stripping away the sectarian dogma and focusing purely on the biological mechanics, he is handing us a functional tool for improved physical health, profound peace of mind, better relationships, and even finances, all by regulating our internal state.
It is the ultimate call to self-mastery. He is handing you the operating manual to the human machine and trusting you to turn the wrench.
So, to summarize the core insights from this deep dive into the life and work of Osman, the blind Muslim yogi, we explored his 50-year mission to strip the superstition out of spirituality, replacing it with a predictable, mechanical gym routine for the nervous system.
We detailed how his highly condensed hatha routine specifically targets the vagus nerve to physically fortify the internal organs.
We broke down the staggering timelines of his research, 22 years to decode meditation for the modern mind, and 39 years to engineer a bulletproof breathwork protocol.
And we saw how the breathless state proves that profound consciousness is a result of biological mechanics, not moral purity tests.
And finally, we confronted the ultimate biological sacrifice he made as a bioenergy healer, permanently surrendering his own eyesight to pull strangers back from terminal illnesses, a reality that completely recontextualizes the high stakes and high cost of his emergency interventions.
The central takeaway is a return to agency. Your nervous system is capable of extraordinary resilience and profound awareness, provided you are willing to apply the correct mechanical pressure and put in the reps.
If you take nothing else away from this, I highly recommend you take advantage of this open source wisdom. You can listen to his podcast on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify by searching for The Blind Muslim Yogi. Go to his YouTube channel to access his vast, free library of mechanical protocols. Or go directly to his website, yogawellness786.com, to download his free 5-minute program and to learn more about the profound reality of his advanced energy healing services.
The knowledge is freely available. The laboratory is your own body.
I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day, dealing with traffic, emails, and the noise of modern life. Osman spent 39 long, frustrating years of trial and error just to unlock the specific, precise breathing pattern required to safely awaken the dormant energy inside the human spine. 39 years just to find the right sequence of inhales and exhales. It makes you wonder, as we rush through our daily routines, chronically stressed and completely disconnected from our own biology, how many other profound built-in biological cheat codes are sitting quietly inside our own nervous systems right now, just waiting for us to finally enter the right combination.